The latest recruiting news and commitments here on the Portal Podcast.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to go over the latest commitments in college football as teams like LSU and Georgia have all added to their incredibly talented rosters. But we're also going to talk about some impending decisions. Jase Mathews, the player that I think is arguably the best athlete in the country. If I had to vote, that would be the guy I'd go with. You've got Elijah Golden making a decision amongst major programs like Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and more. And we also have another commitment to talk about, and that is Amari Thomas, kind of going under the radar. He decommitted from Florida State. We're going to break that down as well. Here are the latest commitments. No particular order here, but some really good players. Devon Benjamin, 6 foot, 175 pounds, out of Oaks Christian, just outside of Los Angeles. Cornerback, national recruit, no question. Offers from across the country, has pledged to Oregon. This is another player. Like, how many DBs can Dan Lanning and the Ducks get? They have just absolutely done a tremendous job of stockpiling talent for future years in Eugene, and especially in the secondary. Like, they needed players because they lost several. I get it. They had a good class this past year. They're not messing around this year either. Oregon's defensive secondary will not be void of talent. Ole Miss gets Anthony Davis out of Grayson High School, just outside Atlanta, top inside linebacker prospect, picked Ole Miss over several SEC programs. And to be honest with you, he's another kid that's probably underrated because he's not the biggest guy. He's 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, but he can really run. He's instinctual, and he's a guy that's competed at a very high level, Under Armour camps, etc. He's going to come in and help Ole Miss play some football. Georgia, an unusual thing. Georgia actually adding another lineman. Obviously, I'm kidding. Anthony Lunnan Jr. out of Clark Central. It's in Athens, so he doesn't even have to change his own zip code. He's going to stay in the same town to go to college. Another defensive lineman. It is insane how many D linemen and O linemen Georgia's recruited over the last 5 years, but that's one of the reasons they're a top program. Big guys matter. Georgia gets another defensive tackle. Colorado goes to South Florida, get Ben Gula, 6'5", 285 out of Cypress Bay High School. Maybe he plays tackle, maybe he plays guard. I think he could play either, but it's good for the Buffaloes to add another high school prospect to the fold. And Deion going back to his home state. USC gets Brett Collier. Speaking of the state of Florida, maybe as good an interior offensive lineman as there is in the country, plays at IMG Academy and originally from the state of Colorado. Collier could have went to Georgia or Miami. Those were his other two finalists. He's a young man that I've seen play several times over the last few years. Elite personality, elite player. USC got a really good player in Brett Collier. UNC gets not one, but two players. Carson Snead flips over from Tennessee, a kid from Nashville. He goes to Donaldson Christian, and he's going to go to North Carolina and Chapel Hill to play for Bill Belichick, one of the top tight ends in the country, 6'6", 250 pounds. Really nice pickup. Carson Snead heads to UNC. Viliami Moloa, he just transferred to Thompson High School in Alabama. He's originally from out west. This is one of the better defensive linemen in the country. He's also going to Chapel Hill to play for Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels. Power player, but he can actually rush the passer. I've seen him in 5-on-5 competitions, just like with Brett Collier, as they both played with California Power. Very talented young man. UNC's defensive line room is going to look a lot different come next year. LSU also, sticking with defensive line theme, they don't add one, but two defensive linemen. First off, a player that I know well out of Collins Hill High School near Atlanta, that is Deuce Geralds. He could have went to Ole Miss where his dad played. He could have went to Oregon. He could have went to Ohio State. Could have went to a lot of different programs. Deuce ends up picking the LSU Tigers. Now, he's got family and history in Southern Louisiana. The Baton Rouge area, he has a lot of family and history there. But this room, They already had 2 big-time defensive line commitments on the interior, not even counting the exterior. They get Deuce Gerald's. And then they also get Darius McKinley. His brother is already at LSU and expected to be probably the best defensive lineman they have this year. He's a sophomore. Well, his brother is going to join the fold as well out of Acadiana in Lafayette, Louisiana, about an hour from Baton Rouge. This young man will be joining the fold for Brian Kelly and his team as well. When we come back, we're going to talk about 3 impending commitments here on the Portal Podcast. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days you need a little bit more, and this is something that you can use to keep you going, whether you're on the golf course or just going about your day. Golf is all about good times, good people, and good flavors. Of course, the grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse to go to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONGolf, you can receive 20% off. This is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. Code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or turning 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest news. It's a lot of fun for me, and I hope you love all the roster management stuff we got going on. Transfer portal news I talked about over the last 24 hours. Also have more commitments coming, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And, of course, the latest commitments in preview the college football season. 3 commitments that I want to talk about, 2 of which are on the 8th and 1 on the 9th. Let's start off with Jase Mathews out of southeastern Mississippi. He's at Greene County High School in Weeksville. Small program out in the sticks. I love these kind of kids that are just honest and steady to their program. He could have transferred to 100 programs. Jase Mathews is as gifted as it gets. 6'2", 190 pounds, give or take. Athletic all day long. Can jump out of the gym. Incredible hand-eye coordination. He's one of the top receivers in the land, and I think he's top 3. With that being stated, you still got to pick one school. You can only pick one. Is it going to be Ole Miss, LSU, Auburn, somebody else? Where is Jase Mathews going to go? I'm not sure. I had to guess. Based on the intel I've heard, watch out for Auburn. But with Ole Miss and LSU involved for Mississippi, those are the 2 schools that are most prominent in that state. Anything is possible. This is a home run hitter in terms of big play capability. Do not be surprised if there's more movement between now and his decision on August 8th. Also on August 8th, Amari Thomas, originally committed to Florida State. He transferred to Blountstown High School, which is about 45 minutes from Tallahassee, and he is subsequently decommitted from Florida State, and it's now looking like it's going to be South Carolina. At least that's the last that I had heard. Unless something has changed, Amari Thomas is probably headed to the SEC, and he's an underrated running back. Just because he played in the Panhandle at a smaller school, that does not mean he's not a player that can't play big-time college football at the P4 level. Love his ability to run over guys, to make guys miss. He's just under 200 pounds, really athletic, and he has a very, very good change of direction when guys are close. He just knows when to put the foot in the ground and make somebody miss. And occasionally he just runs over them anyway. Really like Amari Thomas a lot. Finally, Elijah Golden. This is a kid that I've known for a couple of years. He went to IMG. He's from the state of Virginia. Then he eventually transferred to another school, Sarasota Cardinal Mooney, which is about 15 minutes away from IMG. And he's now a national recruit. And he's really been a national recruit for the last few years. But it's coming to a head. Virginia Tech, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame. Those are the ones that I've heard the most mentioned with him. Unless something is surprising, it's going to be one of those 4. Most believe it'll be Oklahoma or Notre Dame. But Alabama at one point was trending for him, etc. It's a long process. Elijah has really tried to narrow it down, and I'm sure it's difficult. But regardless of which coach you believe in and which staff, remember, this is recruiting in 2025. Anything can and will happen. as I have learned all too well. But right now, it looks like it's going to be Oklahoma or Notre Dame. We'll see. He's a defensive lineman that can play on the edge, but probably projects best inside. It depends. He's been a wrestler the last year or so, and he was just under 260 when I saw him at the Orlando Under Armour event. But I think he'll play at over 280 pounds in college. I don't think it matters if he's in a 4-3 or a 3-4 defense. Elijah Golden's athleticism, his length, and his get-off make him a viable recruit for any program in the country. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Please share this podcast and comment. We will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.